Welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Here we go. So off from the line, and what a fast start there. Look at SS going. I think he was well and truly ready for that. Very quickly joined though by the rest of this big race field here today. Now, this could be very interesting. If they can get back into the leading group, they've got a chance, but they've got to push now because that gap has opened between them here on the course. Now, Ollie Jones, Zach Nair, 1 and 2 on the course, left hand side of your screen. Little bit of a gap opening up once again. He led up his UAE clan teammates, and now Mr. X100 goes up on to the front. He's patrolling Zach Nair, but Zach Nair is now gone. It'll be 500 very shortly, but the UAE clan team rider, he has hovering, Ollie Jones, who won race number 1. Will he be able to win race number 3 in our qualifiers? Will Pavlo Popovic take the top spot? Jones is putting a monstrous attack in here. Popovic is having to try and answer this. He knows that the distance is coming down. It's 800 meters. He's opened the gap, and this is going to be Jones coming in surely for victory at this stage. The gap behind him is nearly into double figures in seconds. He's got time to get his arms aloft. He won't need to worry about somebody dipping under his shoulder. It's Ollie Jones taking the winning qualifier. Number 3. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's the prize money race at the end of June. My name's Matt Payne, and I'm going to be putting words to all of today's action, which I'm sure will be as frantic as our 3 qualifiers that we've had already. We've seen some really impressive individual and team performances on a variety of courses, and today's course is set to challenge our riders with a total of 1,017 meters of elevation across 45 kilometers. 4 main areas, 2 urban areas, the desert dunes, which we know are going to test our riders in those rolling sections, and then the mountains at the end, which are really going to take the legs off the riders. If anything left, they're going to need it for the final ascent of the mountains, with 688 meters of elevation coming in under 10 kilometers. That is going to test these riders to the limit. In between, of course, we have our 7 segments, each segment individually timed. As you can see, the first 3 segments at 1 kilometer, the next 2 at 2.5, and then we have a 3.5 and a 5 kilometer segment. So we'll get a good idea of just how those riders are performing individually. In there, we'll be able to see those groups. Now, today, of course, being the final, these riders have to qualify in the UAE clan team, the all-conquering in the qualifiers, the UAE clan team, headed up by the team captain, Mr. X100. They have such a talented lineup in there. Going to see if they can be pushed off the top spot by the Yorkshire Pudding Express. They were second in qualifier number 1. They are going to be second in qualifier number 3, but can they take that top spot this time around? Don't forget, of course, Abus Lacole, Belgian Waffles, as well as the Danish Pavlova squad are stacked full, along with the team from Next PB and Shod, who have drafted in Juan Hoyos, a rider who we have tipped for the top. We'll see whether he's going to be right up there in that category 1 classification. The UAE Road Warriors in there as well. Now we're going to see who's going to get the top spot out of those riders in category 1. Don't forget, though, the prizes go right the way through categories 2 and 3. Now, in category number 2, big teams in here. The teams we're looking out for, Team Italy B, have consistently been right up in the top 3. Don't forget, though, X-Pro, they were the fastest qualifying team in qualifying number 1. They were 4th overall as well. And they've got their big guns out today with Kenneth Alfonso, Arrego, Harvey, and Vargas in the mix. The Climbers team, well, they were our 2nd team in qualifier number 1. They were the 5th team overall, and again, stacked full of talent. But don't discount Salam Bike Shop, the Royal Riders, and Can Kwek be the team who are going to move up and through. Of course, DS team. Will we see Somerville, Milano, Drummond, and Sola up there, mixing it up with the riders at the very top of the standings. So big field of Category 2 riders challenging Category 1. And remember, of course, all these categories are dynamic, so the boundaries between each category can change. On to category number 3. Now, in category number 3, the CM team, Renegades and Binankai are teams that have qualified, but they're joined by Team Week this time. And we're going to see whether that is for real or whether that's a really ironic name this time around, because they are going to be taking on the teams. Now, Team Italy are not going to figure in the team standings because their only qualifier is Niccolo Martinello. But that doesn't mean that Martinello can't take away top honours. And don't forget, in all 3 categories, we have individual riders who are not in the team, but riders can qualify and count in the team competition and in the individual competition as well. So there's some very big prizes. For all of the details of what the teams can win, make sure you go on to MyWhoosh.com and you can see all of the race manual and the qualifying requirements to go in and through to the final. Now we join the start line with just under 10 seconds to go. The start is absolutely critical. Our category 1 riders in the yellow jerseys, our category 2 riders in the green jersey, our category 3 in the blue, and getting a fast start is critical. Now we know Mitch Ferry, a rider who can take away some real fast performances from the gun. He has been really aggressive in the qualifying rounds, and at the moment, Ferry straight out from the blocks at the moment. Top right hand side of your screen, you can just see in each of these screens the map view and this massive bunch leading out. Absolutely critical to get that start super smooth. Now, Ferry leading out, Ferry riding for the Yorkshire Pudding Express. They have been taking the battle to the UAE clan team, but you can see all of the riders want to be right up near this front group. They don't want to let this gap go. In terms of profiles, well, town, the urban areas, they're not flat by any stretch of the imagination. The gradients kick, rise. We have some real leg breaking, leg strength sapping. A sense on some really steep gradients to come, and already we're quickly in to 2.6% gradient on the screen. We're not even 1 kilometre in, and we don't hit that first segment until we hit 2.5k. So we've got a little bit of time for these riders to settle in. So leading group at the moment looks like SS from the UAE clan team, just making sure he knows who is around, keeping an eye on who's there. Good to see that we got Nussin in there. Mr. X100 has made the cut as well. Right hand side of your screen, you can see the riders a little bit further back now. They've been distanced by the main pack. You can just see the main pack on the left of your screen. That's the big bunch going over the rise. But Vargas now has to push on here to move himself up and through. We're in with Mr. X100 at the moment, kicking out 5.3 watts per kilo, just getting some drafters. The big numbers on the left-hand side, those watts go green. That's when he's getting draft on his way through. He's hooked in, he's tagged in behind that rider, and he's saving energy. He's going to go faster for less effort. But this initial selection is critical, and as we go over the top of the rise, it quickly starts to dip down here. This is going to be where the group picks up speed, and any gaps will be amplified by the pace that is being increased. So you can just see a little bit of a split here, and the leading group with Vink in it just starting to put a little bit of a gap inside. Safrazad having to come back across that group. So at the moment, lots of category 2 riders making the cut with category 1 a little further back, right hand side of the screen. Gaps opening. The chasing riders about to come towards that right-hand turn at the moment, and we've seen a big pack forming. Remember, of course, just like you find in the disciplines, like on the track and on the road, being in the draft is key. Now, left-hand side of your screen, Tim Cutler on the attack. Cutler, 10th in qualifier number 3. He's looking to push on. Last week, he was riding strongly. We know he can attack, and he's another of the Yorkshire Pudding Express. The Yorkshire, the Greater Republic of Yorkshire, is one that is very, very proud, and at the moment they're looking to take away top teams, but they will want to knock the UAE clan team off. And it really has become a case that the Yorkshire Pudding Express will fire rider after rider up the road. The question is, can they hand out defeat to the UAE clan team? Can they take away that top spot? The UAE clan team have recovered from some bad starts before, but it looking like SS are leading the charge there for the UAE clan team. Mitch Ferry comes across, though, and Ferry, another of the Yorkshire Pudding Express. And this is where the team tactics come into play. Now, into segment 1, first of our time checks. So we've got that taken that left turn. We're onto this climb, and this is going to really hurt the legs here. 2.5 through to 3.5k. Now, just a little bit further back here, interesting to see that Hassan Al Ramethri has been distanced a little bit. He's about 100 meters behind the riders here, and that means that he has got his work out. He's been distanced from Group 1. He's got to get back into Group number 1. You can see on the top right-hand side, the gap has opened from the leading group, and Hassan, a rider who we know is capable of staying with the leaders into the finish, I don't think got the best of starts then. He's going to want to pull that back. The longer that time goes by, the harder that will be. So Group 1 currently making the way through. We're going to see that checkpoint. It's not going to be long before the screens start to show where we are at. So our Sunday race club here on MyWhoosh is up and running. Our prize money final is currently underway. Our riders already are looking like they are firing on more cylinders than a Formula One Grand Prix, and at the moment certainly looking like they are going to be able to set a very fast time. So through goes Mitch Ferry. The question is, will he have the fastest time? How many riders will be in this group? Keller goes through. The next PB insured rider setting a 1 minute 17.471, averaging 4.3 watts per kilo going through there. But look at Tim Elskins. Tim Elskins, a heart rate of 190. And clearly that fast start taking its toll on the heart rate of Tim Elskins. There, the Belgian rider really having to push. Graves in the mix, Hoyos in there, Maglio, and a real mix. It's interesting to see that we've got a number of our second category riders in the fight, but the riders very, very close together on the way through there. Now, in terms of teams, the Danish Pavlova squad well represented. We know that the Yorkshire Pudding Express have got lots of riders in the league group, as have the Belgian Waffles. So, will it be just desserts for the teams from Denmark, from Belgium, from the Greater Republic of Yorkshire in Great Britain, or will the UAE clan team sweep them all away and just leave them the crumbs to snuffle up afterwards? We'll see how this is going to play out as they continue onwards. So, in with our leading group, this is what's left of that massive pack that started off, and you can see just how fast that group has gone. It has just disintegrated. We've got a very select group left at the moment. Going through, we're just in with Ollie Jones, prolific winner Jones, the man who has shown that he is the man to watch out for at the top of the climb. Winner of qualifier 1, winner of qualifier number 3, and a man who knows how to gauge his effort. He knows, though, that when we hit these segments, the pace will go up. It's just automatic. People just can't help themselves. They know it doesn't count for the overall, but it's often used as a trigger point. 3 riders leading up the road, may even be 4 up there, just taking a little bit of a look. We're currently in with Mr. X100, just pushing on the team captain for the team from the UAE clan, and he's got to make his way up. They can't afford to let the leading riders go. Right hand side of your screen, we can see we're in with Mitch Ferry, Richard Keller, and Tim Cutler. Phil Graves has got on the offensive as well here. So this is a dangerous, dangerous attack that has gone on the front. They're handing it out already, and the team from the UAE clan team may be on the back foot here for the first time in a long time, because you've got Cutler, you've got Keller, you've got Ferry, you've got Graves in there. Ollie Jones has seen the danger here. I think Ollie Jones is trying to get straight back across, and the response is coming left-hand side of your screen. Mr. X100 chasing right-hand side of your screen. The riders in the lead now. The chase here has got to come, and it's got to come quick. If you let that gap go, then you're in trouble. But I think that leading group just being closed down, we'll get an idea as they come through this segment now. So the riders coming through very quickly indeed. Let's see who goes through the fastest time. Thomas Williams gets the fastest time of 1:15 this time, 2 seconds quicker, and that's in part because they are chasing down the leading group. But Keller going through there, 4th place for the next PB insured. But look at that Pavlova squad, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th places. The 11th place also taken by Vink, so Pavlova clearly are on form. The squad from the UAE clan team, well, Mr. X100 clearly doing the work to close that gap back down again. They're coming in the 7th place in that segment. So as the riders continue on through the rest of that race field, hurtling its way through segment number 2, the riders already covering 6.6k of the 45-kilometer course. The fastest time, a 1:15, and this group are still continuing to break up. Now, on to the next climb. Top right-hand side of the screen, you can see that the gradient percentage has gone into the red zone, which means that we're over that 6.5% marker, and that kick is a tough one to follow at the moment. Ferry, Vink, Brun, Van den Eek out in here. Graves, Nair, Hoyos, Jones, Van Aist is in there as well. Ross Fawcett, all those names that we've become familiar with watching the racing over the past 3 qualifiers. In fact, through this past season here on MyWhoosh. Well, we're seeing them back in action. Don't forget, of course, you can download, you can watch back on the YouTube channel all of the races so far. You can go to the MyWhoosh website, and on the MyWhoosh website, of course, you can get all of the results, including all of those splits times, just to see what the competition is going to be like if you're planning on joining us. So a little bit further back, right-hand side of your screen, we can just see Jasper Paradias just in the mix with a lot of our second category riders. But interestingly, Saeed Safrazad, one of the big men in that UAE clan team, is distanced from the leading group. He's currently sitting nearly 800 meters, nearly a kilometer behind the leaders. This is a big loss for the UAE clan team here, because Saeed Safrazad is a rider who can be up in the top of 3, can take away a win when it comes to racing up onto the mountains. And I suspect this is one of the reasons why the pace is so hot at the front. The riders are looking at those screens and they're thinking, who don't we have? Who is missing in action here? And it looks like MIA is Saeed Safrazad, and that is a loss for that UAE clan team. He's in with a good group of second category riders who are very quick indeed, make no mistake about it. You have riders like Jose Oviedo in there. Looks like Sebastian Wolf in this mix as well. Liam Somerville, always fast. Alonso's in here as well. And these riders are going to be pushing on. They're not going to let that gap go too far, but they know that it's going to be very hard to come back now as the leaders, led by Tim Cutler, go into segment number 3. This is the last segment in the first area, the first of our urban areas. As we come in and through now, you can just see those gaps are starting to open. This pace is very fast this morning here on MyWhoosh. Well, it's morning here in our studios. Remember, of course, on MyWhoosh, you can be across the world. We have riders from around the globe here and racing, and it's great to see so many people brought together by MyWhoosh to come and race against each other. And in the finals, we know that everybody's going to give it everything. This is where it counts. All those qualifying rides getting verified, making sure that you've got the training, you've done your homework, you've ridden on the platform, you've downloaded the app on everything, you've watched all the coverage. You know what's coming up. One man who's improving all the time, Juan Hoyos, on your screen at the moment. Juan is a rider who has consistently been in the lead group from the start. Each race is going further and further. So he's got the power. He's just got to keep it right to the end. And that comes with learning the platform as well. So you can just see at the moment, this leading group, the numbers of green jerseys have gone. There's virtually no blue jerseys anywhere near the front of this race. The group is being whittled down. As they come through the end of segment number 3, we're going to be looking to see how many people are in this group. Going to take an estimation of something about 12 or so riders this time around. We'll get that coming up on our screen very shortly indeed, I'm sure. So it's definitely at least 12 riders coming through. That's on the limit of our screen. So I suspect it's going to be 12, though, is going to be pretty much the limit of that group, because you can just see SS from the UAE clan team really pushing on with Pablo Popovic in that group. Now, we know that Mr. X100 is in there. So the UAE clan team have the 3 requisite counters to score. And the Mr. X100, they're just going through. Looks like he's in the 14th place. So that group just rolling around, just about 15 riders strong by the look at it. 14 riders strong at the moment. And at the moment, the people who are putting the pressure on seem to be the Yorkshire Pudding Express and the Danish Pavlova squad. They're being patrolled out, though, by the groups behind now. SS, just taking a little look at SS. He's in 17th place. He's been distanced by that leading group by 9 seconds. He's got to get across. This is dangerous. I don't think that the squad squad have a full complement for the team up at the very front of the race. And this is a problem for that UAE clan team. Remember, it is 3 counters for the team as you go through. SS putting in a fast time on the segment and taking the fastest segment time, but he's distanced from that leading group. But he is in a group of riders who can push. He's in with people like Pablo Popovic that can quickly get back to the group. So just watching these leaders, it is a real battle here. Pablo Popovic and SS have to get back up to the front of the group. If the leading group of riders go clear, they will be in trouble and they will not be able to score the points that they need. And it's a cumulative time between the fastest 3 riders in your team to count. You can see the leaders on the right-hand side of your screen at the moment continue to push at 10.8k, 10.7k, and now nearly 200 meters back as the chasers behind Popovic, Brun, Simmons in there as well, just trying to get up there. They're a very close group, but Mitch Ferry on the right of your screen is pushing here. They've seen that the riders from the clan team are in trouble. They've put them in trouble before at the start, and the team from the UAE clan team have brought them back and taken the win in the end already in the qualifier so far in June. The question is, can they do the same again? Mitch Ferry, famous for his breakaways. He is a real rider of some class. He goes on the attack. He really does try to break it up. He, along with his teammates, are really looking to take this away. Phil Grace, one of our regular riders, right up in the mix there as well. And you can see those numbers yo-yoing up and down for the riders. We're just in with Mitch Ferry at the moment, putting out 335 watts. The cadence, the pedal revs are a little bit low, 72. Well, I say low. They're certainly low for me. I would like to spin away. Not make my legs hurt, but Mitch Ferry definitely can 69 revs per minute. So he's really is pushing a big gear around there to be able to maintain that pace behind. Look at the watts coming out here. Nearly 500 watts. I'm sure I saw 526 there on the screen, but sitting just under the 500 watts mark, 90 revs per minute, nearly 4. SS, who is towing Pablo Popovic back in here. I think Oliver Simmons and John Brun are trying to hitch a ride on that behind, but they may well have been distanced by these two. Now, this is the chase where the clan team need to get bodies up into the front group. Pablo Popovic, SS at the moment are 7 seconds from that leading group. 7 seconds from the leading group for the chasers behind. They have got to push because there's only so long that you can chase before your legs fall off, and that is it. It's going to be game over. Meanwhile, Ferry, Hoyos, Graves, Knudsen, Keller, Fawcett all know that they've got a chance here to put that team in trouble. Now, Fawcett in the mix here, just tucked in. Remember, of course, Ross Fawcett ready for the next PB insured squad. And last time out, qualifier number 3 was in 15th position, but the team took away a 3rd team on the day as we move from the urban into the desert. Now, this is a really tough section to ride. If you jump on a MyWhoosh's ride, this is a rolling section. There is no flat. It just doesn't exist because we go up over the dune, we're rolling down the other side, we're going up the face of the dune, we're dropping off the other side, and this continues onwards as SS makes his charge across here. Popovic just struggling to stay with him. He's now brought them back to 3 seconds to the back of that bunch. He's got to push Popovic a little bit further back here, and you can just see what the gap is. This is where you've got to put that last effort in. They're going to come into the hill. If they can carry the pace, it could bring them up on to the back of this group. But as they go over the top, they've not quite made contact. And that group is going to pick up pace over the top. The gap, the distance will open up between them as we go through. SS again kicking on here. Popovic is behind, but no draft at the moment. The big numbers left-hand side of your screen are in black. They're not in green yet. The teammate of them, Mr. Ace 100, look at this. He's dropping back. He's sitting nearer to the back of the group. He knows that they're coming behind, and this is where he's sitting. He's not going on the front and charging, and this is all about making sure that he stays clear of the gaps that open in front, but is there to try and help the riders behind now. SS comes in and through over the top. He's made the junction, that momentum carrying him right the way through the group. Really hard to get that feather to modulate your power. Pablo Popovic just about in touch here. This is going to have done some damage to the legs. Here comes Popovic now, and Popovic chases on and in. So SS now at the back of the group with Popovic. And when you've got back on again, you can't afford to relax. You see what we mean about no flat sections on this. The roller coaster of faith is really, really in evidence here. You can see the gaps opening as they go over the crest of the hill, as they drop back down again. Then it kicks back up again. And the riders at the moment on one of the relatively easy sections here, we're already starting to pick up the gradient at 2% as we come up. It then comes off. We're going down at 2%. These little rises and falls really taking the toll. We've still got some big kickers to come though out in this desert section. The desert section lasting from 12.5 kilometers to 15.5 kilometers now into our next kicker here as we come up. And this is where the team have to sit in here, where you are riding to be aggressive on the front. You've got to be in with this group. If you get distance now, you're going to be in trouble. A little bit further back, just in with Berke Guyven on the right-hand side of your screen. He's in that group of second category riders just coming into segment number 4. Now, segment number 4, one of our slightly longer segments at 2.5k. So that lasts from 12.7 to 15.2 kilometers. And that means that our race leaders are going to see the gantry just going over the top of the road, just coming up for them. So they're going to soon hit the end of segment number 4, the first of the 2.5 kilometer segments. So through go the riders. They are in and through the segment, and it shows at the moment that Stefan van East is our leader, the fastest time through there from the Belgian Waffles squad. And at the moment, you can see the Belgian Waffles squad represented by Van Eest. They've also got Martins in there, but they are now going to be struggling to get enough qualifiers. Meanwhile, the Pavlova squad have Knudsen, Jones, and Vink. Yorkshire Pudding Express at the moment represented by Graves and Cutler, but these riders know that they need those 3 riders count. Popovic and SS making the cut in this group. And at the moment, I think leading them through it is going to be 15 riders in that lead group. The man who's lost a little bit of time in there, I think, is Mr. X100 here. He is just off the back of the screens. Now, Mr. X100 may well have been just having to take a little bit of a breather there. He'd been working to make sure that his riders came on. But Keller, Brun, and Simmons a little bit further back. Brun and Simmons are trying to chase on. So it looks to me like we've got about 15 riders in this leading group. They are Category 1 riders exclusively, showing that they are the cream of the crop. And Ollie Jones now at 7 watts per kilo starts to open it up. Tim Cutler goes across to him. He doesn't want to do all of the work, and Jones is pushing on here. So Ollie Jones at the moment for the Danish Pavlova squad, a prolific winner, looking to break this up. He's not giving anybody a chance to recover. They've team from the UAE clan team had jumped onto the back of the pack. They just about got in touch. And once again, Ferry, Cutler and co all trying to stir this up at the front. They're not going to let the riders sit comfortably in this group. And SS and Popovic again look to be in trouble. So this group broke up as it came over the top. So look at this. We've got SS and Pablo Popovic. They're not feeling it today. This is not going to be an easy day for them. If they manage to get back into this group again, they've done 1 chase already. They now have to do another chase here. So this is hard. This is what makes a real tough race. The guys on the front are really mixing it up. And Mr. X100 here, he's got to get back on as well. He's not in with this main group here. So the UAE clan team today, maybe not having their best day at the office. So Mr. X100, is he just dropping back to offer what we know as breadcrumbs behind? So the old fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel, where you find your way back by following the breadcrumbs. There's a limited amount of time before they get snaffled up. So by dropping riders back, you've got a chance that the riders riders chasing can pick up those breadcrumbs and use them as the trail back in. But they only last so long, and I think we're going to see SS and Pablo Popovic are riders who, again, having to chase. The Watts are going down. They are trying to kick the way back in again, but that front group are not letting them go back in again. And this is going to be interesting. Who is going to take top team spot? Every single qualifier, the UAE clan team have taken the top spot. The team who are most likely, the Yorkshire Pudding Express. So that would be Cutler, it would be Graves. The question is, can Mitch Ferrier make that their 1, 2, 3? Because they are going to need to be able to take out of the top standings Jones, Vink, and Knudsen. The Pavlova squad, again, well represented in this leading group. So they are going to be the force to be reckoned with. And Mitch Ferrier at the moment from the Yorkshire Pudding Express pushing on here. I don't think any of the teams want that clan team to get back into the mix. They know that they can climb really well, and they know that they've got to make it hard. Mr. X100 about to make contact here with the back of the group. Into segment number 5 we go. So just a quick reminder, segment number 5 is back in the urban world, where we've got 2 segments, 5 and 6, both come in this segment. Segment 5 is 2.5 kilometers long. Segment 6 is 3.5 kilometers long. And you can just see on your screens those distances. So we're already into the second of our urban worlds before we head up on to the mountains, and these segments will show us just who is on the pace, who is starting to lose time, particularly once we go on to the mountain. That's where you're really going to see those time differences add up. Now, our rider's just going to come around to the right hand side. You just saw the bridge starting to appear on the left hand side of your screen. Now, this is where the riders know it's going to hurt. This is somewhere that is a regular feature on the MyWhoosh's ride. It's a regular trigger point on here because this is nasty. This is one that really, really hurts because it kicks up here 4.9%. It then eases fractionally, and then it kicks again. And this is just really mean. So the designers are really wanting to test our riders. And this is the great thing about MyWhoosh. The platform is designed to produce great racing, great riding. And that's exactly what it does as we go up into the sky on the elevated roadway here. And you can see those numbers. They're sitting at 6 and 7 watts per kilo. This is very, very hard to maintain for any length of time, but you've got to be able to respond and recover quickly enough. Think now on the front, and Vink just stretching his legs here for the Danish Pavlova squad. Ferry goes across, Van East goes across as well. Now, Stefan Bernays for the Belgian Waffle Squad, another rider who can climb as well as a great ruler. And he's certainly a rider who can mix this up. Good to see Martin Martins in with this group as well. So Martin's in the mix for the Waffle Squad. And I think they're just starting to find their feet as a team. Once again, they seem to be a team that starts to pull it out once we get into these finals now. Think on the pack at the head of the pack, just rolling, and he eases off a little bit, just lets the riders come past, taking shelter as much as he can on the way down this slope. It's 3% slope on this descent at the moment, but we've still got plenty of this elevated roadway to do. So here in MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club, on our June final race, the prize money finals, we have a leading group that have forced their way clear. The pressure has been put on by the Yorkshire Pudding Express, by the Belgian Waffles and the Danish Pavlovas, and the team that have been all conquering in our qualifiers. The UAE clan team, they are the team who are in trouble at the moment with riders not up in this front group. They may have a chance to come back on the climb, but this front group has been really ripping around the course as we go past that 20-kilometer mark, over 27 minutes of riding complete. And our leading group full of Category 1 riders exclusively coming to the end of checkpoint for segment number 5. And this is where we're going to see our fastest times through here. So, Mr. X100, who is chasing his way from off the back of the group at the start of the segment, has got the fastest time because he's come right through 6 seconds quicker. And that's because he's come from behind the group right up to the group. Interesting to see. Chase is on behind. SS comes through. He puts in an even quicker time as he goes through, as he is in pursuit of that leading group. And this is where the riders in front, if they hesitate, if they don't focus, they could let that UAE clan team come back into contention. Never discount them when we're going into the final climbs. Now, Martins van Aekhout for the Belgian Wassel teams with Van East looking good. The Pavlova squad well represented. The Yorkshire Pudding Express right up there. And interesting to see Thomas Williams. That's a man who needs signing up really quick. He was fifth in qualifier number 2. And that was on a day when he was looking very, very good indeed. And I suspect we're going to see the same again. Working quite hard, a heart rate of 177. But this group still working hard. 2 leaders now starting to kick clear from that group. Once again, Mitch Ferry, the breakaway artist that is Mitch Ferry, trying to do a Sammy Stewart and break clear and leave everybody else behind. But this time round, it is going to be a Vink who has gone with Ferry behind Van Ace, is the rider who is sat on the front of the group. He's not a teammate of either of the two. So he's going to be looking to try and close that gap down. It looks like Van Ace doing the work. He's at 6.3 watts per kilo. Graves is along for the ride, just patrolling that out. He's not going to do any work. You can see for Graves' numbers much lower as they go along there. You see Graves just went to 2.5 watts per kilo. He's not going to pull these two back. He's going to let the other teams do the work to damage the legs, to use up their reserves as we come in to the 22.5 kilometre mark. Now, joined by Ollie Jones, who came across there. He absolutely shot across the gap. He was not messing about. He wants it to go clear. He'll want to try and get a breakaway as we go back. Guess what? We're going back up and over again. We're onto the elevated roadway, and Jones may be seeing that the riders at the back are starting to struggle. So our leading group now with a gap. So we currently have what is going to be 5 riders. I think it's going to be as we hit the slopes here behind Knudsen and Cutler coming across. Zach Nair has Van den Eek out, Martins and Van Easter at 4 seconds coming up on to the climb. So it's only a matter of a few seconds behind Ollie Jones, but it's Jones, Vink, Ferry, Knudsen who are leading up this climb. Those 4 riders clear of Graves, Van den Eek out, Nair, Van East. Then it's Martins, then it is Cutler. And at the moment, this is a very aggressive race. Lots of riders are really starting to push. The moment we hit the hills, really starting to push as this group starts to swell with the addition of Phil Graves. So now up to 5 riders, only a couple of seconds back to Van Eek out. A little bit further down the course, well, we can see at the moment Karim Sayed on his way up onto these dunes, just going up onto the next of our roller coasters out there. Hamid Kamsaid doing exactly the same. Some great views as you go up and over. I'm not sure it always takes your mind off how much your legs hurt as you go up those steep kickers, but it's definitely tough stuff. Our second category riders a little bit further down the course. Remember, all of our riders racing in our prize money final at the end of the month. So Johnson at the moment just trying to close the gap down as we see Ollie Jones, that blue cap, just easing off a little bit here. He was on the attack. It goes into the descent. And remember, of course, if you're a lighter rider, that's going to be a little bit harder. We can get some more details in depth a little bit later on in the season. Some more insights from people who are maybe racing out on the course. Interested to talk to the riders. And of course, don't forget, of course, you can join me on MyWhoosh. It's Matt Fixpain on Facebook, on Strava, as well as on MyWhoosh. If you download the app, make sure you to do that. You just jump onto www.mywhoosh.com. Don't forget, whilst you're online, don't forget to check out the Instagram feed. That is MyWhoosh, along with Facebook, and of course, my_whoosh on Twitter. And catch up with everything happening in the world of MyWhoosh. Don't forget, of course, on the YouTube channel, if you want to learn how to personalize your avatar to dual records, get started. Then some great videos. Jeff on there, and make sure you have a look on there as well. Of course, there's some exclusive insights into the UAE teams as well. So coming up towards the 25-kilometer mark for our leaders on the left of the screen, and the right of your screen, a 22K nearly covered for Jasper Paradies, who is in that chasing group with Dexter Bello in there as well as like Caligula in there. Jacob Björklund not all that far away. The Swedish rider on the chase of our leaders, and Knudsen from Denmark at the moment in the mix. So is Ross Fawcett, Mitch Ferry. That's like the team really are trying to push on. But Ferry again, 6-second gap. Mitch Ferry, aka the Sammy Stewart of the MyWhoosh world. If you wonder who we mean by Sammy Stewart, an inspirational rider in the women's race scene, and doing a regular breakaway operative on everything from the women's tour to the tour series as well as on the national scene. Very, very fast rider, and a rider who definitely is a very popular rider with the crowds as well for being so aggressive and really taking the race to everybody else. And that's exactly what Mitch Ferry does. At the moment, Mitch Ferry on the attack here, opening up the gaps once again. The Yorkshire Pudding Express rider is once again trying to hand it out to everybody else. He's making everyone else work. Now, will it pay off today? Will he be able to break clear? One of the riders he's wanting to make that a little bit more difficult for is, of course, Ollie Jones. Ollie Jones, one of our real fast men. We know that he can be in the mix. We know he can take the win. But will all of this work that's been done, all of this constant attacking, be enough to damage the hopes of Jones? Don't forget, of course, Mr. X100 taking a win not all that long ago, and seeing the riders on the chase all know that they are in with a chance. Now, into our next segment. So we are moving in towards the back end of the course. Here are longer segments starting, and that means that we are going to have a clear indicator of who is on form. Ferry went in early, so we're expecting him to be the first rider through on the time checks, but he's got to maintain that gap. If they close him down, which it looks like SS is doing, then he's going to have the slowest time through that segment because he had a bit of a head start coming in. Now, SS from the UAE clan team, after that early chase back, having to close down the gaps to get back in the group. It looks like he's back on form now. I have ridden this very same bit of road here on MyWhoosh with SS, and I know the moment it hits that hill, he's going to rip your legs. He's a mean rider when it comes to this little bit of a kicker. The steep kicks, this roller coaster really does suit him, and he's got some phenomenal power. You can see he's kicking out at the moment 6 watts per kilo to get Ferry back. He's done that. He's just easing off the power, just taking a little bit of a breather. But SS at the moment looking very, very strong indeed. You've got to be strong to close the gap down here on MyWhoosh. And this big pack of riders, all first category riders, all looking to take away the win, to take away those big money prizes, and of course to take away the team prizes as well. So into the penultimate area, we are just coming through town. We're going to go into the mountains to finish off the day. But as we make our way on here, it is a Cutler we're riding with at the moment as we go over that 27-kilometer mark. 152 beats per minute, 70 revs per minute is his cadence. Just lifting up a little bit as we come up towards the top of the slope. He's having to pick that pace up. He's at 400 plus watts as they come up and over the top of the climb, but this is not an easy course. We're going to drop down and then it will kick back up again, and this next kicker, you've got to carry as much pace as you can on this descent to then really drive on up the hill. Now, interesting to see that Phil Graves has come up to the front. Phil, usually a man who will sit and keep out of the way. Graves deciding that now is the time to make your life a little bit difficult. He's on the front, carrying that momentum over the top. Vink and Jones. Jones coming across very quickly. He won't let Phil Graves go anywhere. And this, of course, at the moment, he came across at 7 watts per kilo. And it's Ollie Jones now leading the prize money final here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. So Jones quickly pulled back into the fold, this pack on the descent. 28 kilometers nearly covered. A little bit further back, just interesting to see that these groups, these bunches are forming. We always say get in a bunch, get in a group. Make sure you've got people to shelter from the wind behind. It doesn't matter if you're out on the road riding with your friends. It doesn't matter whether you're on the track practicing and the velodrome, or whether you are out on the roads of MyWhoosh. Being able to sit with a group, not only is it more shelter, it's also really inspiration. It's that old bit of motivation, not letting the wheel go, just hanging on, just squeezing that little bit extra out. You can always have a little bit more than you thought. And interesting to see that Hassan Al Ramethri has moved his way up into 24th position at the moment. Now, we know Hassan's capable of a top 10 overall. He's really got to work here. Didn't have the best of starts today, but looks like he's coming back at pace. He's going to make contact here with Giuliano, along with Il Pino. Balthazar's in there, so Moises Balthazar in this group, as well as Caligula. And this is going to be tough to get on, but once he does, he's got a chance of getting a little bit of a breather. They're just going into segment as out of the other. So we just see Mr. X100 tucked into the leading group on the left of your screen. Hassan Al Ramethri on the right hand side. They're separated by that big green hillside, those horribly steep roller coaster climbs. The leaders up on the elevated roadway once again. They hit the climbs at 34.5k, so still some distance to go. And it does mean that the riders have got to stay attentive. They know once they're onto that last climb that it's all about pushing. It's easy to stay focused. It's this in-between time when you go before the big climb, when everybody just starts to relax. You hit that sort of 30-kilometer mark. You know that you've got about 5k until you're going to get into the really pointy end of the race. And yet you've still got to be attentive. If you let the gap go, you've got to chase back on again. As we've seen, some riders will make it, some won't. Pablo Popovic is currently 1 minute 52 behind now, heading to nearly 2 minutes behind. And you see Pablo has got to push. He's nearly 2 minutes, and that is how fast you lose time. That is about not being in the group. And Pablo, this is where he shows just what he's made of here, because we know that Pablo Popovic is a strong rider. We know that he's fast. We know that he can stay with the group and lead the group. He's been right up there. He's a top 3 rider time and time again. He was second in qualifier number 3. He was second in qualifier number 1. It's going to be a big ask today to make back 2 minutes on that climb, but it's not impossible. If the leading group go up there, I would lay you any amount of ice cream. So there is no way this group is going to stay together on that final climb. And people, if they've gone too hard too early, will be losing minutes. If you have to time them, you could use a sand clock, never mind a digital watch or an electronic timer as they go in and through. So Mitch Ferry on the lead, in the lead again, solo once again, 6 seconds up the road, being chased back down again. It's almost like the status quo is with Mitch Ferry off the front of this group, with everybody else having to chase him back. But Mitch Ferry doing an amazing job. He really is making life hard for the riders behind in the other teams. And this is making life easy for Phil Graves, for all of the riders in his team, because this is what it's about. You sit there, don't need to chase. And if my teammate was up the road, I was going to be fairly forthright in my description. I'm not coming forwards. I'm not going to help. Not a chance that I am going to do any work with my teammates up there. It might have been in, just a real fish and chipper race as we know it round by us, where you're racing for Haribo, but or for your tea. But it's definitely no way was I going to chase my teammates or my club mates down. I had to see them immediately after, race with them the week after, and probably go out trading with them. It's all about looking after the team now. SS doing the same again here. He's pushing on, trying to close that gap down. He's got Mr. X100, his team captain, sat in the group. And if you can bring back a Ferry, that is going to help once again, not giving that gap away. Left-hand side of the screen, your leaders. Right-hand side of the screen, the riders who are racing in the inside the top 30. I'm not sure they're going to be our top second category. They're going to be pretty close to that, I think, as they go just in with Dexter Abello, just sitting on the wheel of Jasper Paradines as they go up this climb. Hassan Ramethri in front in the group in front. So Dexter having to close that gap down. So the leaders now on to a little bit of recovery. It's quite flat as you go along the coastline here, just like it is on the beach side, the amazing beaches and shoreline of the Emirates, currently playing host to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And at the moment, this nice run along the coastline is going to be a little bit of a respite. You can just see the mountains appearing on the left-hand side. Now, in real life, there's quite a number of kilometers between the shoreline and the start of the climbs as you go out from Al Ain up onto the mountains. Here on MyWhoosh, by the wonders of modern technology, we can bring that a whole lot closer, and that's exactly what you want to see. You can get all killer, no filler, and that means that it's much more interesting to ride. There's none of this riding out from your house and having to battle through traffic to get to the start of your race route or your training route. The riders know that it is all going to be in front of them. It's very quick to go through, and there's lots in this data-rich world to keep our riders occupied on the way through, not just watching for attacks off the front of the group as we see Tim Cutler hurtling up through the front of the group, then quickly easing off, but also all of the data from themselves and the competitors. Our riders also able to switch their screens around and watch multiple angles at once. Really handy if you're in a chasing pack. Now, our group on the right-hand side, our Category 2 riders at the moment, Giuliano, Balthazar, Caligula, looks like Il Pino is in there as well as Reno, and these riders are really pushing on. They are taking that pace up. They're currently sitting at 29.1k, so they're not that far behind the leaders, who are just currently approaching 32.2 kilometers. As they come through, they've just gone across the causeway and just going to make their way, going to hit the shoreline once again. So Knudsen right up on the front. He's been relatively quiet. Michael Knudsen, the rider who took victory in qualifier number 2, he has been conspicuous by his absence at the front up till now. We've seen him do very little chasing. We've seen him do very little work. But all of a sudden, Knudsen is being very attentive indeed. He's not letting the front of this group go. He's currently at 32.6 kilometers. And all of this group, look at those numbers. They're in the 2s and 3 watts per kilo. They know that they're going to hit those mountains very shortly indeed. They know that they're going to have to give it absolutely everything to the top. They want to have nothing left in the tank when they reach the summit of the mountain as they get to the finish. However, they can't afford to relax too much. Somebody may well take a flyer and just try and get a little bit of sliding room, particularly if you're not feeling strong. It's a great way to push on in. If you know that you're going to go backwards, we'll get a little bit of a head start. However, with the power of this pack, I suspect that's going to be very, very difficult to do indeed. So our leaders now at 33.1k. The nerves are going to be going. They're going to be looking to get a gel down really quickly if they haven't already, looking to fuel up with that last bit of fuel. There's not going to be much chance to take on board much energy as they go up onto the climb. A little bit further back still, this pack is riding in the second category group. They're riding really strongly here, and they're sitting looks like about 3.5 to 4 watts per kilo at the moment, which is a good pace. And it means that if they're riding consistently together, they're not going to lose a lot of time. It equally means that they know that they can leave it all on the mountain when they get there. So nobody going silly as they go off through the front, but just making that sort of washing machine churn, that roll around on the group, not doing too much work, just taking it in turns, in breaking through the air and making sure that they move on. The group on the left of your screen are leaders in category 1 and our leaders of the race overall. Well, that leading group, it is a very nervous time. If this was a bunch, you would see plenty of bottles, people sucking up the oxygen. You see people just trying to shake the legs out, tightening up the ratchets on the shoes, maybe ejecting a bottle or two, trying to make the bike as light as possible. So the least weight possible as you're going up. Of course, when you're sitting at home, you can have them all racked up on the side beside you. If you're down in your pain cave, you're keeping out the heat or you're keeping out of the cold, staying away from the rain or staying out of the sun and getting a great workout on MyWhoosh, then it's all about making sure that you're prime and ready. Here in the studio, we're all ready. We've got plenty of coffee for the last stage. We're caffeinated up and ready to go. And we're going to take the left-hand turn. The climb is about to start. This is the finale of June here on the men's race here on MyWhoosh. And here we go. Up on to the ascent we go. This group is all together. Who is going to take victory here on MyWhoosh? Here on the prize money final for June. We're hitting the slopes by the wonders of MyWhoosh. We're going to be on to the final climb. We're going to transport across and into L8, into the World Heritage Site, the UNESCO World Heritage Site. That is a base rail Al Ain and onto the Jebel Hafit. And this is the start of that climb. Here come the mountains. And this is when the riders really start getting nervous. They've got to watch each other, they've got to watch the road, they've got to watch the gradient. And at the same time, they've got to give it absolutely everything. Who's going to set the early pace up here? That looks like, guess who? Mitch Ferry's on the front again. It looks like he's wanting to set the pace to keep the pressure on. Now, the profile of this climb, it is not full of steep ramps. In fact, the steepest ramp comes at the very end of the climb. On the rest of this ascent, they are not absolutely brutal 10-15% grades, and mostly it's a little bit calmer, but it is still stepped with long rises and long treads. So basically, as you go along, you've got a long rise at a steady gradient, then it'll ease or level off. The riders at the moment going past the Beehive tombs. Now, if you go to the UAE and you're going to go onto the Jebel Hafid, these are out at Al Ain, and these tombs, thousands-year-old tombs, the Beehive tombs, another of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and they are just at the side of the course here on MyWhoosh. Our leaders pushing on here with Mr. X100 now on the front, setting the pace at 6.3 watts per kilo, and Mr. X100 in the lead. The rest of the bunch are in his wake at the moment. The question is, can he maintain this to the top? Can he take this out? Is it going to be a win for Mr. X100? This gradient just eases, they dip down, and then it's going to kick again. As this group come up here, you can just see this road just winding its way around. Very hard to get into a consistent rhythm here. And at the moment, this group is still pretty much all together, looking for anybody coming off the back, and it's not happened yet. Now you can just see, so hard to feather the effort to get the pressure on those pedals just right. There's Mr. X100 takes a roll from the back to the front. This is an 8 watts per kilo attack here by Mr. X100. He went to the back, then he used the draft of the bunch. He came flying through the bunch, and he's gone off the front again. He's taking it to them, and Ollie Jones is having to respond here. We're only at 36 kilometers of the 45k, and Ollie Jones has been brought out there by the attack by Mr. X100. He's had to answer this. Knudsen is coming across, as well as Mitch Ferry. Everybody has hit the panic stations button. Mr. X100 went on the attack, and everybody has responded. A massive kick. But we're just about to hit the next riser here, and that means this is going to be tough stuff. If you just responded to an attack, you've got to now kick again. So Zachner right up in the mix. SS is in this group with Mr. X100. This is your leading group. The winner is going to come from this pack. The question is, who has got it when we go on to the climb? Who has saved their energy? Who can attack? Who can put the pressure on? Who can try and break away at the right time? It's very rare that we see more than one or two riders come to the finish together. It was shown in the qualifiers. It's been shown in final after final. If you want to see just how this hill rides, well, make sure you go back and watch the racing on the YouTube channel. If you want to come and ride it, download the app, jump in, get in one of our qualifying races. We start all over again next week in July with the first of our qualifiers next Sunday. Make sure you register for that and get down and ride this course. Remember, the more you ride on the platform, the more you learn on the way through, the better that you're going to be able to put the pressure down, know when to attack. Ferry again putting the pressure on. There's Ferry done too much. Popovich is on to the climb in pursuit of our leading group here. Campbell Pithry just in front with Bart van den Eekhout and then Phil Graves and co. However, it looks to me like Popovich is trying to chase. Now, that distance between them, it's about 200 meters. That is not insurmountable. For somebody who is 2 minutes back, Popovich has been chasing well behind here. Let's see if he can get back in. Normally, if you're dropped, you're dropped for a reason. You drop because you haven't got the pace, you haven't got the power to get right up into the mix at the finish. However, Popovich, we know, has that. It may be that he's on a great day and he just had technical issues on the way through, just like you would find if you're at a road race, you have a support car coming down, your team mechanic would fix something by the side. Well, same thing can happen. It's easy to snap a chain. It's very easy for the bike to move or the turbo to move, to get connection issues. All those things could affect our ride. And that's, of course, why the results, when they go up, will go from live to unofficial. And then when they've been verified, the system, which includes a lot of AI now in the verification system, checking riders' performances are physically possible, as well as not having some weird anomalies in there. If somebody suddenly spikes at 3,000 watts, we know something's gone wrong. Nobody's going to kick out that kind of power. If they can, then we might have the answer to all the world's energy crisis all in one go, if we could replicate that. At the moment, our rider's putting down plenty of power down here on the climb. So Popovich still chasing. He's at 1 minute 40, 137. It's coming down very, very quickly indeed. Will he be able to get them back before they hit the 45k marker? Well, I suspect he's going to catch one or two riders as the doors get blown off as they go up this climb. At the moment, all these riders look pretty comfy in there. Just looking at the heart rate here of Thomas Williams, he's at 180 beats per minute. He's got to be fast approaching his limit. All these riders will have a point at which they know that they are in the red zone. And once you get in there, you've only got a certain amount of time before that's going to go and become a real dead zone, and you're not going to be able to push on. But look at this, another attack on the front here, another big push. The riders continue to push here. 16 riders in contention, with SS moving up from that 16th position, but he's not able to move up too far as the group responds to the attack. So it's all very well being at the back, starting to push in, but if the group then tries to counter an attack, you've really got to move up to the front very fast. If you hesitate too long, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be off the back of the group. Then you've got to chase back on again. And that is just not the place to be. You want to be setting the pace, ideally, the front of this group. Michael Vink and Tim Cutler. Vink riding for the Danish Pavlova squad. Tim Cutler riding for the Yorkshire Pudding Express on the attack. And Tim Cutler has been very quiet up till now. But all of a sudden, Cutler now thinks this is going to be my chance to go. Now, we've seen Cutler attack time and time again. In qualifiers, he's not managed to make it stick to take the win. Is he going to be able to do that today? Well, we're going to have to find out. We have still got plenty of time. The clock ticking over 55 minutes of racing. Remember, we raced right the way to 45 kilometers, and it is uphill, quite literally, pretty much to the finish. The last section, though, we have 2 steps. The second of those steps right up towards the finish is incredibly steep, and then it levels. And if you've ever run up a set of steps at home and then nearly fallen on the floor as you go over the top, as your legs go to jelly, that's exactly what it's like going up to the top of the Jebel Feet. You can ride this. Lots of the rides on MyWhoosh going out and riding this same climb, and it's a great one to go up if you want to put in a nice, long, consistent effort. You're going to go training not too steep so you get to the end, and they got that little final ramp just to really take your legs out. So Cutler and Vink being chased by SS. SS at the moment leading the bunch, which quickly mob around the sides of him. At the moment, the leader's still keeping that pressure on Cutler with a little bit of a gap on Vink. SS is coming across, and he's going to bring this bunch back together once again. Now, Knudsen goes over the top. Knudsen is very good at closing gaps down. And Mitch Ferry at the moment, along with Ollie Jones, maybe just a little bit further back. Ferry, of course, having his teammate Cutler up at the front. So Knudsen has a teammate in Vink up there. He's not going to do too much work, but it looks like Stefan van East of the Pavlova squad, of the Waffle squad, the Belgian Waffle squad, on his way up there. Not like me to mix up my desserts. You get those absolutely spot on. So will it be Knudsen who can get across on the left of your screen? Will Zach Nair show a right up at the front? Zach, again, another rider who we have not seen doing too much work yet, but again, another rider who could be right in at the mix. This is the time to put your money on somebody. Zach now taking third last week at the mountaintop finish, so we know he can climb. He was right up in the battle for podium positions, and you can just see the 2 leaders just about to go underneath that MyWhoosh banner. Now, the end of the segment is going to come soon. Remember, the final segment is segment number 7. The seventh segment, 5K long. That finishes at 40.2K. And Cutler is about to trigger. That is going to be our first rider through. Still leading from Vink. Vink is behind him, not by much, as you can see. So through they go. They're going to be the 1, 2 through. The gap back is just about there as the rest of the riders come through. And this is where you can see we still have plenty of riders in contention at the moment. So of that leading group, remember we hit these slopes with 16 riders in the mix. Tim Cutler taking the fastest time up there. Vink taking the second fastest time in the final of our segments. Van Eest in third. We have 15 riders have gone through that segment at the moment. And this is a real indicator of who's going to be in the mix. The Waffles squad are going to struggle, I think, to take that team. If the team from the Yorkshire Pudding Express can keep on pushing, but it's going to be very tight between the two. The UAE Clan team, well, it looks to me like SS and Mr. X100 are going to be the two riders who are going to lead that team home, but their third counter is a long way back. Don't forget, of course, that we have next PB insured riders in the mix as well, with Zach Nair in there and Juan Hoyes. However, this is going to come down to whether the Pavlova squad, the Waffle squad, or the Pudding Express squad are going to be able to get this right. Who is going to cook up a fantastic result today, and who is going to be left deflated and flatter than my mum's old Yorkshire puddings were? I hope my mum's not listening. So the gang on to the climb. Our leaders clear at the front again. Michael Vink, Tim Cutler pushing on here. Right hand side of your screen. Michael Knudsen leading that chase behind. Ollie Jones is not at the front leading this up. We're now in to the final 5K. 41.2K on the clock. There's nothing in this though. Mr. X100 chasing on the left hand side. On the right hand side, Tim Cutler in the lead here going up the climb. We've got some serious heart rates coming up as well. Mr. X100's heart rate is starting to rise. We know he's usually quite low in terms of heart rate. It's starting to come up. He's at 155. If this was Russ Downing, he'd be about to go pop here out on the roads, because we know that different riders have different limits. Tim Cutler really pushing on here, 172, 173 beats per minute. He's sitting at that, and I think this is going to be about where he can go, because Fink is with him as well, and these two riders are trying to fend off Jones. They're trying to fend off SS, but you can just see Knudsen now is responding. We're going to be at 3K to go very, very shortly indeed. And at the moment, Knudsen has gone past SS. He's trying to get across to our leaders, which is Cutler, Vink, and now Ollie Jones. Jones has the blue cap. He's made his way up to the leaders, and this is where things get very, very interesting indeed, because Jones has made the junction. Prolific winner Jones. He's won two of the races in the qualifying, but look at the pace of the chasers. They came up and through then. We're at 3K to go, 3,000 meters to the finish. This group has split on the mountain. 16 riders have become a group of 4 leaders being chased, though, by some very talented riders behind. But the leading group is Knudsen, Cutler, Fink, and Jones at the moment, but they're getting company and they're coming up to them. This is going to be interesting. 4 riders now join the back of that train. So Zach Nair, Martin Martins, Stefan Van Eest, SS going across the gap. Ollie Jones right up in that front group as well. Cutler and Knudsen and Fink still leading the charge up the mountain. We've got a sweeping right-hand turn that takes us back into the heart of the mountain coming up. All the twists and turns make it harder to see where the leaders are when they've got a decent sized gap, but that is not happening at the moment. And it looks to me like the pressure to chase has a distance there. He's at 6 seconds. Martins is at 5. Van Eest is at 2. the rest of this group of the riders on your screen at the moment who are leading the way up here. And it looks like after chasing on, SS is in the mix here for the UAE clan team, but they've got 2 riders present. Pablo Popovic will be their 3rd rider, but he is currently nearly 2 minutes down. He was chasing hard. He may well pick up some places. They're going to see what they can salvage. They'll want to take away the individual win if they can't take the team win, but so do all of these riders as Vink once again pushes on here. Michael Vink really is starting to kick as we go up towards the 43-kilometer mark. Now, when we come round this left-hand bend, it levels. We've then got a little bit of a rock archway. We keep on pushing the left-hand side of your screen. Here comes Pablo Popovic, just having a little look at that time gap. It has come down, but it's not going to be enough. He's currently at 41.4k, and that is just too great a distance to make back, but he's going to want to do everything he can for his teammates on that UAE clan team to support them as best he can. Now, Bart van den Eek out a little bit further back down the climb. Knudsen leading up. The riders on this little shelf, this little section, which brings them on the right-hand side of the mountain. It drops away down to the right. If you had the time, you'd be able to see right down below the rest of the world here on MyWhoosh. You see the roads that we've just been riding around directly underneath the riders. It's a long, long way down. Remember, the total elevation of the race are 1,017 meters, but the final climb put in 688 meters of that. So that is a big climb. It's going to be tough on these riders to keep this going all the way into the finish. We're now at 43.6 kilometers. So here on MyWhoosh, on the Sunday Race Club, on our prize money final for June, we're coming into those final few kilometres. Our leading group of riders, the cream of the crop, has risen to the top, and all of a sudden, Vink goes again. He's at 8 watts per kilo. Jones, Knudsen, Cutler, SS, Mr. X100, all in the mix. They've got 15 seconds on there. Van East, along with Martins, Mitch Ferry, the constantly attacking Ferry, has been distanced. It looks like Graves has gone as well. Now, at the moment, that distance is a lot more than 6 for us to go up onto the climb. Tim Cutler on the attack again. It's going to come down to the final kilometre. We've got 1,000 metres to go. Who is going to put in the best timed attack? I think there's only time for maybe 1 or 2. We go through the rock arch. We can see in front of us, it levels. And then we have the steepest ramp on the mountain that will take us up towards the fort, up towards the hotel that's at the very top of the mountain and on to our finish line. This is going to be a grandstand finish for anybody who's at the top of the mountain. We're going to go over this rise with the group together. Knudsen leading, and it is going to be about who can time this right, who is going to kick at the right time, who's ridden enough to know when to put the pressure down. Well, you can jump on with lots of these guys that are out riding regularly through the week on the MyWhooshers ride. If you think you have got what it takes, go out and get a ride on the platform and see if you can keep up with them on here. I certainly couldn't. I was distanced by decades, I think, from me at the bottom to them at the top. These guys are very quick indeed, and Knudsen is now leading. Here comes the big ramp. This is the killer section. This is the bit where it's going to be decided. You've got to kick onto the climb. Jones is coming from the back, but has he got the pace to answer the attack? He's gone on to the front of 10, 14.9, 16.2. Those are the watts per kilo being put down by Ollie Jones. He set out, he's stalled, he's gone hard. He's got the gap. Has he got enough? It's going to be tight. Knudsen is coming behind. I'm not sure he's got enough. And at the prize money final for June, it's Ollie Jones. He takes victory. Knudsen just takes the next spot from Vink. Then it's going to be SS coming through. What a finish. So it's Jones taking the top spot. A Danish Pavlova, 1, 2, 3 with Jones, Vink and Knudsen wrapping up the team prize as well as taking away the top 3. Big payday for the Pavlova squad. SS coming through in 4th place. And Mr. X100, the UAE team captain, coming through in 5th. Now another big fast run into the finish with Cutler taking 6th place. Then it is going to be Van East in 7th, and Nair in 8th, Martins in 9th position. Wow, what a race finish. That was some finish as the riders came up. We're still watching riders sprinting in. Mitch Ferry, who really animated the early part of this race. making his way up. He is chasing all the way to the line. He's chasing Van den Eekhout. Van den Eekhout is going to come in front of him, and I think it's going to be Van den Eekhout who's going to round out the top 10. It is Bart's going to take 10th place. It's going to be 11th place then for Mitch Ferry. The team, the first team to finish is Gonfo. There's been Danish Pavlova there. Overall team time of 3:18:17, so 3 hours 18 going in and through, taking top spot. Second place in the team competition will be the Belgian Waffle squad, so it is a great result for them, with Van Ace Mertens and Van den Eekhout taking away the second team spot. Third team spot is going to go to the Yorkshire Pudding Express. Remember, all of these results are unofficial at the moment, because of course all these results will need to be verified. It's a bit like when you are racing and you have to have the commissaires do their approval of your results. Now, Campbell Pisbury, great ride by Campbell, again fighting to the finish with Thomas Williams. They're just ahead of Juan Hoyos. So our riders on the way in as they come through. Williams just on that last run to the finish. He knows Juan Hoyos isn't going to close him down as they come through the finishing line at the moment. So the top spot going to Ollie Jones, followed by Michael Vick and Michael Knudsen. The top three are done. Great riding as they come in and through the finish there. Now, Juan Hoyos is going to be our last rider we're going to see in and through, but don't forget you can catch up with all of the results on the MyWhoosh website, www.mywhoosh.com. Juan Hoyos, he is going to come in to the finish. He's going to take 15th place. So our top 15 riders are in and done, with Juan Hoyos coming in and through the line. So a great final here at the top of the Jebel Hafit. The riders coming through to finish with Juan Hoyos taking that 15th place. Team win going to the Danish Pavlova squad, led home by Ollie Jones. Great racing as always on MyWhoosh. Don't forget, of course, if you want to come and join in the fun, make sure that you download the app on the mywhoosh.com website. Make sure you catch up with all of the full results in our category 1, 2, and 3 riders, as well as all of our teams. You can pick those up on mywhoosh.com on results. So we are going to get ourselves ready for the women's race. From me, Matt Payne. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.